site than necessarily a straight up, middle. That's as you would phrase it.
Yeah, I mean, it still kind of splits out into the middle of the map, of course, and then gives you the option as you come out of orange to take it in towards A, down the steps, where they've, of course, now they've added a door. Normally, of course, the steps before, it was just kind of a cubby you'd hide in towards that A bomb site, but it's definitely going to change things up quite a lot. And we know for a fact that the devs have been looking for this map the entire time. They've been asking all the teams, let's play here on Invasion, and they're showing us why. Fantasy kicks things off incredibly with a double kill. Bram are going to be able to find one as well before he goes down. So it does actually end up with the devs having themselves a man advantage as this round kind of calms down a little bit.
And evidently they've been sponsored by Leisure, or at least Dark thinks they have been. So Dark's just sorted them out with a sick contract. They're probably being paid tens of thousands a week. So with their results, I mean, they've had 13-2 and 13-0 so far. Oh, wait, no, that's backwards. They've lost both maps that they've played, 13-2 and 13-0. So maybe they don't deserve that sponsorship. And Dark decides, you know what, I'm just going to take it away, strips them of the contract.
Back to the devs.
Back to the devs with an empty circle. Dark doesn't even want to give them
the
luxury of a picture. The man's going rogue, Dean. Screw your overlay. I'm gonna make parts of it invisible.
What you need to do now is you need to get that Axis logo and just put it again on top of it.
There you go. Look, Dean's helping you out here. Dean's got you. Dean's got you covered.
Yeah, he nodded. He was like, yeah, that's perfect. That's all I need to do. We do have a pause in at the moment, of course. Not too sure what's going on. Whether this is a technical pause, maybe Avenue realizing, damn, we just lost the round to the devs. That's the third round. They've won all LAN. How have we done this? Or maybe it's just a technical issue, which is probably a lot more likely.
Yeah, I think it's more than likely. After the way that first round went, I imagine, this is the first time in 14 rounds that they've played that they've actually found a round on the board. So I imagine they're going to be pretty excited. They're going to be pretty happy. Someone's probably thrown their mouse across the room. It's probably Fantasy. In history, he's been the one that's obviously the most excitable. You never see Fantasy without a childlike giggle and a smile on his face.
I have a question.
Yes.
Another way killing the devs gets you a war chest. Are Avenue going to get a war chest for every kill they get?
Avenue are going to have so many skins after. It was worth signing up to this LAN just because you're guaranteed a lot of war chests. Well, unless you get 13-0 by them, in which case we need to maybe have a talk. Now, look, things haven't been going too well for them so far. From what I've heard, this is insider information. Apparently, Baker's playing quite well. The new community manager, the newest member to the roster, he's doing well. Fantasy fancies himself as a bit of a okay FPS player. I heard he's mediocre, and then everyone else is bad.
He's got
those are words. Those are words from Fantasy, so I cannot be held responsible for what I just said.
What? I missed the tiny bit of that.
I said everyone else is bad.
Oh, okay.
But those are his words, not mine. Oh, my word.
Brammer, they're actually Fantasy as well. They have pretty much everyone right now focused in towards orange, and as you see, Avenue, of course, trying to go forward, they found zero success. Adamello is the last man standing. Brammer manages to take him down. And that is two very convincing rounds right now from the devs. Worth noting, though, of course, they did make this map, and I don't think Avenue have played it.
You can see slight advantages here. It's not like we've seen these guys play it 6 times over the last 2 weeks. No, they made it. They made the map, and the other team has probably never loaded it before. So this is probably not a good sign for Avenue. They did say it's going to be an interesting first playthrough for them. And, well, it's certainly proven to be. The devs picking up 2 rounds. And, Dean, if they find one more round, this is going to be their highest scoreline in any game so far. This is incredible. But Baker falls to start us off. And that's not looking good. Avenue trying to beat them back and avoid giving them the 3-0, which would be a moral victory for the devs.
You're misunderstanding. Right now, the devs are just giving some hope to Avenue. That's all it is. False hope. Avenue, though, grouping up outside of A alongside Coast, I believe, right now, which does look quite a bit different as well. Haven't actually gotten to see this spot before, so it's definitely interesting to see how they've changed it. Rez right now behind the bomb site. A lot more cover to be had as well, so this is, of course, a massive positive. Has that MP40, able to find 2 quick kills. And as he tries to escape, will eventually go down, but it's actually the devs managing to come out on top of the trades right now. They have a man advantage. Or at least did have. It's still a decent position, though, and as I say, that Fantasy going to be able to find themselves one. This is a man that, of course, you did point out, has a lot of skill, well known. And it leaves CD right in a very difficult 1 versus 2. You said he was all right, Mitch, but you say you're good at the game, so.
Compared to Fantasy, I certainly am. For CDE now, it's obviously not an easy clutch to win out. He's been spotted and he's been taken down easy as she comes. Fantasy cleans it up on a 2K, and it's 3-0, Dean. The Devs have found their highest scoreline, the most amount of rounds. In fact, they've won more rounds in this game than they have in the tournament so far, Dean.
Yeah. They got 13-0'd, unfortunately.
Some would say it's embarrassing.
13-2. Who did they go 13-2 against? Was it Endpoint?
I can't remember.
I think it may have been. So they got like 2 rounds versus a decent team, and then versus Leisure they managed to get 13-0.
No, not Leisure. It was Invictus, I think.
Invictus, was it?
Yeah, they haven't played Leisure yet.
Oh yeah, that's
Leisure
the one
will
we're
be.
waiting on.
Yeah, that was potentially going to be this round, but it'll be next
yeah.
round, I think. Leisure gone on their lunch break. Reese has gone to get some.
It was Sector 1, I believe, actually, because it was.
Oh, perhaps it was. Yeah.
Ooh, Fantasy finding 2 there on mid. Baker been able to get 1 before that smoke goes down and actually gets spammed in through it. So it is still not the worst position for Avenue, although they do have a man disadvantage. They've been able to actually bring it over towards this A-bomb site, and just as I say that, Adamello going to be able to drop Brammer pretty quickly. A new elevated platform there, of course, for them to work off of. Fantasy being cautious of it at the very least as the bomb goes down. Had a great chance right there to be able to find the frag, and it's given to him again. That's the issue with not knowing the map properly. You don't know when you're exposed. Those new little angles that have been created can cause an issue. And there it is from Fantasy to get himself the second and finish off that round. 4-0 right now for the Devs. This is the most lively Battalion has ever looked.
Certainly for the developers. They're like 4 kills for Fantasy. He's just wiped up that round. He's now 9 for 1. An embarrassing Avenue after the game we just saw them had. This is not a good start, but it's the Allied side of a map that they don't know.
9-1 right now for Fantasy.
Really, the thing is, obviously the devs know this map. That's 100%. They've been trying to get it in every single game, and it's just been made. So they're very proficient on it.
Everyone had been forced banning it, and then Avenue come in like, nah.
Like, yeah, we'll play it. We'll play it for you. The problem is if you lose that knife and you start out on the Allied side, you're in a lot of trouble. You're attacking on a map you don't know how to attack on. You don't know your nades. Like, you've got very little prepared, whereas the devs have got everything. Talking about not knowing their nades, though, Adamello shows us, you know what, Mitch? I got this. Comes out with an opening duel. All with the nade.
Yeah, not too bad. Been able to find one early on, taking down Brammer. He has actually been having a couple of nice rounds so far, so definitely a big name to claim. But it's still Fantasy that's standing. Baker as well has been having a pretty good performance, so although Avenue do have the man advantage, we had seen this before. Now they need to actually go ahead and close this out. And this is very similar. The last time they got that man advantage, they brought it over towards this A-bomb site. And then we seen Rez picking up a double with the MP40. And then we seen Fantasy, of course, been able to take 2 as well. Is this going to be a similar result right now? Or will Avenue be able to finally get around on the board? And it's Rez playing up close. Potentially actually could catch a couple of players off guard. They're not going to be clearing this corner at all. I don't even think they realize that this is a position. 3 for Rez. It's just too easy. Baker had found 1 in the meantime, and suddenly it's all onto life for 1 versus 4. Coming in from the steps, I suppose. I actually don't know what to call this yet.
I'm going to go with the doors. The doors is what I feel like. I feel it's right in my heart and soul.
Does music come out with them when you get near them or something?
What,
I believe the doors are like a band or something.
Oh, yes. Well, 3 doors down. I know. I don't know the doors.
I don't know
the doors.
I know of the one you're talking about, though.
The
sounds really familiar.
We're talking about music. I mean, there is some amazing karaoke going on. I'm looking at
while I was commentating, Mitch was actually singing Queen. He wasn't singing out loud, but he was having fun.
He was looking in Dark
being very lively with his body, dancing and mimicking, or miming rather, the words. So Mitch is keeping himself hyped up in a very specific way, and that's with Queen. CDE finding one. Lowy as well, going to be able to catch Brammer. Kind of blocking each other a little bit there in towards the alley. It was a little bit awkward indeed. It was King Howard that was nearby, and he's now left to see what he can get done towards this bomb site. And as the bomb goes down close to the wall, he can't really get any vision.
What's Rez going to do? Oh, timing couldn't have worked out worse for him there. 5-1. Avenue get the first run on the board convincingly as well. The devs proving that their hold of the B side is maybe not quite what we would have expected of them. I hope you can hear the music in the background and the microphones because it is beautiful. I feel like you can't. I don't know. If you can, sing along in chat. You know the words. And if you don't, just Google them and you'll be fine. That's what I do sometimes. Not for songs like this, but...
I mean, yeah, this is a good way to learn.
These days are very similar to what they were before in terms of catching the players coming up
B
through
at the very least, yeah.
That's helping Avenue out a lot when it comes to like their limited map knowledge.
Although it is slightly different on the bomb site itself, so a couple things could potentially be changed. Fantasy gets himself a second right there, and then the third player actually wasn't watching that position initially. Still finds the frag though, fortunately. And then Lifer coming in with 1 as well on towards Howard does bring it into a 3-on-2. So another rather favourite position here for Avenue that has now even been further extended for them. So it's all onto Rez. He's been playing pretty well, but a 1 versus 3 retake, I don't know. He's been defending the bomb site, sure. But coming in up against 3 with the bomb being planted, 40 seconds remaining, I don't fancy his chances right now. As long as we don't see Avenue making some massive mistakes and giving him the chances to actually take these 1 versus 1s, it shouldn't really be allowed to happen. And I think at this point he may just be considering saving over that MP40, because although the devs, of course, have taken 5 rounds out of the last 6, had taken 5 in a row before Avenue got that previous, they still don't have very much money. It's not looking too good in terms of the economy.
Well, mamma mia, they're not going to let Rez go. The 1v3 with 12 seconds left. It's looking like we're going to see an explosion. But in fact, actually, Rez does make it away. He's just bailing out. He's not playing aggressive. He's chilling. He's nodding along. He can hear the music too. Look at that. He's dancing to it. That's it, Rez. That's what I'm talking about.
I was hoping he'd do something there for that noise.
Do a little bit more, but he hasn't.
Nah, he had to make sure he wasn't getting hunted down right there. Didn't want to lose the MP40, of course. A little bit more important. Well, maybe not. I mean, more important than Queen? Who knows?
Right out of here. What a song. 5-2. Like, Avenue, you've got a lot of work to do in terms of recovering the scoreline. But the thing is, I feel like the devs are going to be atrocious on attack. So you've got that to look forward to.
That is a potential, but I mean, that's the issue when they go over to the attack side.
Yeah.
You're going to be expecting really Fantasy to be the one, I think, that'll be able to step it up and find those opening kills. But then what happens if he goes down?
Dark, open the scoreboard for a second. Let's take a look at them. Fantasy's got 12 kills. Next person is 6.
I mean, Rez hasn't been playing bad either, to be fair, but Fantasy is certainly the only one you'd look at on that team and say, okay, he has the individual skill to stand up against everyone on Avenue. I don't think you'd really say that about anyone else, even though they are all capable players. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, like, Rez, even on 6 kills, he's the next closest person, but he had that one play where he just destroyed them coming out on B, on A even, coming up through coast. So, and again, a lot of these rounds that they've lost have been because of just map knowledge not going their way for Avenue. They lose a player to open it up, but Rez is taken down immediately, and now they're focusing over towards A. This has not worked out, and again, it comes down to what you were talking about, Dean, the angles. Fantasy's able to peek out, just not expecting it. Looney's not even sure where he's being shot at from at the moment. He's took down, playing it a little bit safe. Fantasy's still in position, though, and he hasn't been spotted out just yet after finding the kill, but very little engagement. Now they're focused on Howard. It's Fantasy's time to strike alongside Brammerton, and they've got the STGs to work with. Brammertron. Excuse me, I'll pronounce the or. He gives out to me. Van's actually playing really passive, just looking towards the flank, seeing if anybody's going to be coming up behind. As they lose out of Mello and CDE, it's all down to Looney and not going to happen at all. Nicely played by the devs there. I wouldn't even say that was okay. Fantasy found the opening kill, perhaps because Avenue didn't know the angles, but outside of that, it was a fairly clean-cut round for the devs.
I mean, they've definitely gone and had a little bit of a discussion at the very least, because this is a completely revitalized team. I mean, we didn't actually get to catch their games earlier on. Apparently they did put up some pretty decent performances even in the game, rather, where they went 13-2. Apparently there was a lot of close rounds, especially early on, and then they ended up kind of, I guess, kind of tilting out of control. That's the issue when you're a mixed team. You aren't going to have strategies to fall back on, so if things start going wrong, then there's not a lot that you can do. You just have to hope that you can make it work again. Quick kill with that nade. Yeah,
Baker's in there onto Lowy as well with the headshot. Fantasy following it through. And this is an absolute massacre right now. Only Looney left. Hasn't got a damn chance. What is this from the devs? We haven't seen it so far. They have 7 rounds on the board. They've been destroyed in this tournament, round after round. But again, playing, they started, actually, you know, the 13-2 was against London.
London, okay.
It was against London.
I knew it was against one of those top teams.
And then they came in with getting 13-0'd. But I mean, they played some pretty decent teams, some high-level players anyways. Not that Avenue is any different right now. But again, you got to fall back on the whole situation of, okay, the devs aren't terrible, but they've got a huge advantage when it comes to map knowledge. And a very brave move from Avenue to allow this through when they knew they were going to be playing this map if they let it go all the way.
I am really surprised they let it through. I feel like they just thought it would be easy because of those previous results that we've seen from the devs, but clearly they know what they're doing, especially here on Invasion right now. Lifer will be able to find the opening kill, though, for what seems to have been the first time in a while. It does actually go in favor of Avenue and gets extended there by Lewa, as well as he manages to catch Fantasy taking in a peek. So with that Baker and Fantasy going down, 2 of the players who've been fragging fairly well. Rez over on that A-bomb site as well, having a bit of trouble. It took a while for them to finish him off, but it did happen in the end. Brammertron now doing what he can, gets 2. And almost actually managed to catch the angle there on CDE, but he does eventually go down. That leaves it all onto Howard now, 1 versus 3. As he whips out that butterfly knife to try and get a bit of a move on. He has a long run to that A-bomb site, of course. and opting to take the coast approach as well, so even further.
Just showing off his fancy knife. Wants to make us jealous. So he knows the player's caught in the corner, but the reaction is going to come around from Lifer to help out his teammate, make sure they've got a bit of a crossfire from when Howard goes in. He's being baited out, and very well played by Avenue as it goes 7-3. Now, with a 7-3 scoreline on the board, again, Avenue are struggling, but if they... first of all, we know nothing about the new invasion, how it's going to play out in terms of what rounds are good for the Allied side. But then the other side of the coin is Avenue also don't know this map. So, frankly, I feel like they've already done a pretty good job of building up rounds. This could have looked a whole lot worse for them because we've seen, as we said, the devs picking it up because of pre-nades, picking it up because they just have these positions that Avenue aren't aware of, and you can get a couple of free rounds for that. If they can bring it all the way back to 7-5, I think they're looking very solid to close this map out, as the devs won't be able to pull as many of those tricks when it comes over to the attack.
Yeah, it would have been so much better if they were able to start off on the Axis side, because then they would have been able to actually spot a lot of those angles themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, double kill though coming in early on here on the Allied side. You said 3 is already a decent result. It's a good foundation, but they're looking to build off of it. Right now it's actually going pretty well, although Rez and Baker pulling back a couple of quick kills as I jinx it in that moment. CDE needs to find this one. He may just allow it to go away for the moment. Baker comes back though to take the fight and ends up getting one before he goes down. So he leaves it in actually a very winnable position right now for Rez as he looks to try and get a quick flank in. The only issue is I believe there is a smoke down. Yeah, as you can see, that's going to limit him a little bit. Doesn't realize that there's no one immediately on the other side, but he's going to take the risk. He's going to go through. The only issue is right now Avenue, they have their attention focused. I believe a footstep has been heard. Clearing up close in the barn, maybe a bit difficult indeed. Ends up going down to that M1 Garand rather. So a good round there from Avenue. Fairly close in the end.
There's a position.
Yeah, a little bit of a jump up there. You could just hide in that corner, I guess, while they're pushing in.
Now that was, I mean, evidently they've looked at the map. And I think players in general will have had a gander.
Yeah.
Right? When it came out, you're obviously going to load it in. You're going to have a look around. It's not like it's going to be their first time ever loading it, but first time as a team loading it. Certainly, I think scrims have been very, very scarce on Invasion for any team that wanted to take it. I know Endpoint were looking for it in scrims, in tournaments, and they didn't get to play it at all. They have not been on this map. Full stop. So they're
even though they
it
wanted it. So
yeah, they've been looking for it in practices and in tournaments that no one was offering it up. That is a good position from Rez, but the reaction was there from Lowy to take him down. Adamello on the Baker, and this opens up a completely avant-plan for free. The devs have to go for it for the last round. Round number 1-2.
Yeah, is it going to find them much success? It is not going to be easy. Okay, Brammer, oh, he misses the knife, gets it on the second go. Adamello going to be a little bit upset about that one, but it's not the end of the world, of course, because in the meantime, Lifer finds one back, so it still remains a two-man advantage for Avenue. Brammer and Fantasy, two players that I think you probably would choose. Fantasy definitely to be in this clutch situation. Brammer hasn't been playing bad, but ends up getting caught as he tries to make his way in from the steps, and then Fantasy from Coast only able to take one before he goes down. 7-5, a very good recovery from Avenue, considering they were down 5-0.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a good recovery, and now's their chance to prove that they're the superior team. When it comes to the attack, I don't think the devs are going to have those tricks up their sleeves and be able to catch Avenue off guard. We saw the devs obviously pick up a lot of rounds early on. And look, I do want to point out there's no shortage of potential here for sure. You're seeing good game through from Baker as promised. Fantasy obviously doing amazing. Bramatron actually up there with 10 kills. He's certainly not doing all too bad, and I don't want to call out Howard, but I have to. Come on, Howie. You can do better than that.
Yeah, not doing great right now, but I mean, he still has the chance, as you said, now that they're on the Allied side. Maybe this is where he'll be able to step up a little bit more. You do kind of have to remember that it seemed like the way the setup was, he wasn't always in the greatest of positions to get frags. It was Fantasy always going to take in those initial peaks, etc. Looney, though, going to be able to kick things off already. It's Baker that goes down. Not the greatest of starts. Lowy even going to be able to find Fantasy as he creeps up and spots out the legs of another player as well. Right now, it's not looking good for the devs as they get dropped into a 2-on-5 with only Rez and Howard. Rez, again, he's been playing okay. 7-7 right now. King Howard hasn't had the greatest of games so far. I was going to say maybe this is his chance to redeem himself, but it's not going to happen. Lifer and Adamello come in and finish it off. 7-6, just one round now in the difference, and I think now it's beginning to go a little bit more like we expected, Mitch.
It is only the first round of the half, though, so maybe the devs, when the utility comes out, they can catch them off guard. Remember, these guys are going to know their nades.
6 of the last 8 rounds, though. You do have to also remember that for Avenue.
Yeah, and that's it, right? When it came towards the later parts.
5 of which were on the Allied side.
Yeah, when it came towards those later rounds, that's where the devs aren't able to, like we said, pull those tricks out of their sleeve. Now, when looking at the devs at the moment, you can see they've actually saved over a lot of coins. Rez and Howard actually not investing with Carabiners coming out and the others. That, okay. So CDE's been team killed.
Oh, okay then.
So that's the thing. Howard did assist him as he was rushing on in. So Howard, you know, he's doing the damage. But that's an awkward opening for them for sure. As you see, eventually Lowy falls. It's pulling it back over in favor of the devs. Fantasy out moving Adamello, pushing out to find the second kill. And now Looney, long range with the MP40. He's got to tuck in, get in the house before he can be pushed down, but they're going to try and finish him off. 1 HP, gets challenged, lies down, and just about regens enough health to tank that bullet. Problem is he's all alone. 1v3 coming around behind them at the wall. They have no idea of his position right now. They know he was last spotted in the house where he's coming back into, trying to catch them off guard. If anybody else had gone for the flanker, hunting down the kill. He knows these might be undisciplined players. King Howard spotted out towards the back lane, and now he's just retreating, playing around his teammate. And indeed he is. Backs off. He's got his teammate to help him out in the fight. Eventually goes out, which was maybe a little bit risky, but as the time was starting to tick down, so it's not too bad.
Also, Brammer was right behind them, so he just took the swing out because Brammer was ready to pounce. So even if we did see that kill coming in right there, they probably wouldn't have amounted to very much more before he ended up just getting shot in the back. So.
Especially being against an MP40. It's not like he can just one-tap headshot you and then take your teammate as well, because it would have been like a second or so stagger. You're going to have to take a couple of hits.
You have to spray towards them, At the very least, you grab a quick burst on their head, but with an SMG, that's not really something you go for. It's not the most viable of options. So
you should be losing enough health that your teammate trades it out.
Exactly. Good round, though, from the devs. I mean, 8-6, being able to keep that lead for themselves, extending it a little bit further, and then Brammer, he's going to come in and actually kick this round off. Fantasy as well. He's been playing so well so far. They're kicking things off towards this B-bomb site once again. It's CDE in a very difficult position. Catches one off guard, but so far yet to get a single frag. Unsure of which target to focus on as he ends up going down after only one kill. Although we did see a knife come in the meantime from Lowy. I'm not too sure where that happened. It unfortunately, though, is still a man disadvantage, so the devs are looking favored. As I said, though, Looney taking down Rez in towards Orange. Puts them back in an okay spot. The bomb's yet to go down, but it should be getting planted in the next few seconds.
Yeah, they're actually clearing out the house first before they want to go for that plant. It's going to cost them a little bit of time. Down to 45 seconds, still clearing it out and moving up towards the back. The bomb's going to walk through the arch. This could be a huge mistake from Fan, but he actually catches Lowy off guard. The timing worked out. He rushes it down, dodges the shot, but then gets taken out. And with that, the bomb's dropped in the open. They have no control now as they have to push on back in. Brammertron moving around. He's spotted by Looney. I don't really get that. I don't know what Fantasy was doing, playing that aggressive. All you had to do was go to the side and take the plant. They knew it was clear out towards the back in the house. Overconfidence, perhaps, but even drop the bomb, allow Brammertron to play the bomb plant if you want to go off in the solo play. Well handled by Avenue to stick together in a two-man so that they could at least have that bait and switch. One player obviously baiting him in, missing the shot with the sniper, jumping across, and then the teammate finds the refrag. But it's a fairly devastating position to lose from. And 8-7. The devs had that round in the bag. They threw it away, and Avenue now back on track. They've got the scope on Lowy to start it out towards the coast. There is a player there. I'll just check. It's Rez playing very far back with a scope of his own.
It looked really weird there. Lowy was like really jittery while holding the angle. For the moment, though, it is still all 5 players alive on either side. The double scope, Rez and King Howard. Let's see how this one is going to work out for them. Being on that allied side, I mean, it could work really well early round, rather, but when you get down into the point where you have to actually... Oh, they've swapped over, of course. I'm a little bit silly right now. Oh, nice kill, though. Lifer actually able to find that one. It looked like Brammer was going to be able to find a bit of success there as he was pushing in, but ends up getting mowed down quickly. Adamello then also joining in. He was the one that done the initial damage, then takes down Baker with a headshot. So that is a 4-on-3 right now. The 2 scopes are still in play, so really King Howard and Rez, they haven't been able to push forward. They're just hoping that someone's going to show themselves. But at the moment, Avenue are just holding themselves in crossfires where they're not exposing themselves to any sort of players that may just be holding for these peaks, rather.
With the double scopes on the push, this is where the devs really do need to just play it slow. But 25 seconds, you're running out of options at this point. You've got to try to force the issue, find combat somewhere, and as Fantasy falls, I mean, this is one of the few situations where you're probably thinking about a save. And indeed, they've got the knowledge to straight away turn around and say, look, we don't want to be pushed into a site with 20 seconds and 2 scopes. Saving it over is the right call for sure. They'll be carrying these weapons into the next round, but giving Avenue an 8th round. And it has been the best game of the tournament so far for the devs, but they're on the verge of conceding victory, or conceding the lead at least.
Yeah, it does look like that's about to happen. So far, only been able to pick up this one round on the Allied side. Been able to keep the 2 scoped rifles. I mean, that is a big positive. But even off the back of that, you can see 3 tokens on towards Baker. I think there was 4 on Fantasy, and then 3 over towards Brammer initially as well. I believe they were able to spread a little bit on the players who saved, of course. So not the worst of buys, but it's not great when you're up against Avenue. When you're up against a team now who are on this Axis side who are a very solid team, just up against the devs, of course, who have kind of thrown this mix together. Being on this Allied side now, I wouldn't imagine having a lot of strategies. It's going to be tough for them to deal with the individual skill that Avenue do have available, but it's a slow round here to kick things off. A smoke down in towards the vaults at the moment, because that is a position that the devs have been kind of favoring towards these past couple of rounds.
We're looking at one of the slowest rounds that the devs have played, obviously, around those double scopes. And I'm looking for Avenue at the moment. They've still got a nade left on Adamello, but they have gone through them fairly quickly with the 2 smokes, Lowy and Lifer. Like, not having a lot of nades when they push into B could hamper them a little bit. Especially as I feel like Adamello's not really going to have a chance to deploy that frag if they decide to blitz out. Luckily, though, with the scopes, you got a little bit of an opportunity, a little bit of a slower play. Nade goes in, finds a tag. He knows there's a player here at least. Ready to spam, doesn't find the frag, and spots one out. Kind of knows that's a scope based on the really slow movement that he saw. At least I'm assuming he has that read as he doesn't re-peek. Howard clearing it out is in danger of being peeked up behind him. We've seen CD in this position do a lot of damage, but only find 1 kill before. But now up against the scope, it's easy pickings. Adamello and Lifer come through on their own frags. And as Lowy, oh no, he's been spotted by Fantasy and taken down. I thought that was actually Rez in middle. That was a misread from me. Fantasy's now making a little bit of ground, but taken down immediately by Looney, leaving Rez in a 1v3, 5 seconds left. And I think he might be saving. Not a whole lot of time to do much.
Maybe. He looked at the clock there even to check the time for a moment. But yeah, I mean, he backed off. I'm kind of surprised Fantasy stuck around. I mean, he didn't have nearly as much to lose, of course. Rez is the one who wants to save over that scope. But I mean, if he was already backed off so far towards spawn, it would have made more sense for maybe Fantasy to do the same. Trying to get a bit more damage in. I don't think that's really going to have a lot of impact, though, unfortunately. But here we go, Avenue, claiming the lead for what is the first time in this entire game.
There you go.
The fact that that happens in round number 17 is quite ridiculous.
It really is. Like, coming into this, we expected a very fast game, but Avenue are struggling and the devs are thriving. It's really nice to see such a good, strong
I wouldn't say any more, but overall the devs have looked a lot better than we did expect. Up against a team like Avenue, it's not like we're saying they're bad players, but when you're coming to a competition like this where you're against teams who are practicing for it, who are playing the game constantly, and of course the devs, they can't do that. They're making it.
Yeah, they're too busy making it. It can't be... it can be a little bit harder to apply it. Just because you made a map doesn't mean you'll be the best at it. The devs now have a little bit of an idea of what they want to do. Looking... Oh, that's not a great smoke. It's a little bit of a hat on top of the bunker. And if anything, it's given away their intention to make their way towards this A site. 2 players on edge, ready to take the fight. Lowy comes in with the opening. Looney there following up in a second. The head's being spotted and spammed at. Now, Looney's position should have been spotted by now. Yeah, indeed. They're trying to focus him, but down from the A doors, you've got support coming through, and this is just an easy sweep up for them. Looney finding himself a triple, and Looney assisting on a little bit more. That was... I mean, like, rushing down towards the A side in that kind of round, it can work, but missing the opening smoke, then they're kind of going, okay, this could be A. They're on edge. They have the crossfire set up, and there's not a whole lot you can really do. The devs seem to not take a lot of fights there. They were focused instead on taking ground, you know, moving up to the box and up on top of the stairs, which cost them their life.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I mean, at this point, they're just going to continue to buy in. It's a decent investment to 3 Thompsons, a couple of M1 Garans, and a bit of utility, and it looks like they are going to immediately take it in towards orange. I'm not going to call it mid, because you do seem to disagree with that, even though that's where mid used to be. But Brammer actually finding that opening kill, so for what seems like the first time in quite a while, we will actually have the devs getting themselves a man advantage early on. The only issue is going over towards this B bomb site, or rather this A bomb site. Although they do put the smokes down, Looney was in a position where he was able to get a bit of vision above it, so found himself a quick kill. Lifer down on the Car 98 going to be able to find one as well, and what was a good position here for the devs has within the space of just a couple of seconds completely collapsed. It's all onto Baker, and I mean, although he's a Baker, I don't think he's going to be able to make much here.
Wow, that was a
bad one.
That was a bad one.
They're all bad, Mitch. That's the whole point.
That is very, very true. Well, Baker spots one. The wall bang is a decent attempt. He's only got 2 bullets left. And he can't even get out of there with his life.
Ooh,
as Lifer
dancing gun on the ground
him. Yeah, they do some flips sometimes. Do a backflip. 11-8. Avenue taking the lead, and they haven't looked back since they did. They're looking pretty strong, like we expected. I mean, look, it's not out of the realms of possibility of the devs finding so many rounds on the Axis side. I don't think it comments so much on Avenue as it does on their knowledge of the map and their ability here. I'm going to go ahead and guess that they're not going to be picking it again this tournament or letting it through. This will probably be their ban from now on. It's a good time to investigate how you feel about the map, though.
I think it was their ban anyway. I think they were just willing to let it through versus the devs just because on paper they are so favored. If they got this on any other map, though, I feel like we probably would have seen the devs maybe just taking a couple of rounds. Similar to what we've seen in their previous matchups.
A handful. And again, it's not a massively negative comment about the dev team. It's just they don't practice, and they're a mix coming in of guys that don't play the game nearly as much as teams like Avenue do as a 5-man.
I mean, that's what you'd expect. You wouldn't expect the devs to be playing the game more than the competitive, I guess, players would. Looney, of course, already having a decent kill to his name, looking to see if he can get a bit more here. That smoke down does just check the corner of it and manages to find one as they're coming around. The trade from Rez, the only issue is it's still a 2-on-4. I don't see very much being found from this position, and with him being all alone now, it is going to, of course, require that ace clutch, rather. I was going to say clutch ace. That would have been the wrong way. Oh, my God. Okay, Rez, that was a quick headshot, giving himself a bit of a chance. Goes out in style at the very least. 12-8 though, 4 in the difference. Can you see the devs picking up 4 rounds here to send it into overtime? That's the question.
Well, first of all, let's whack open that scoreboard there, Dark. I want to take a look. Can the devs take it to overtime? Well, with Fantasy on 22 kills at this point.
Can Fantasy take it to overtime? Let me
Fantasy might be able to, but the whole team, I don't know. We're having weaker performances coming through as expected, and I think if you were an ELO calculating company, a betting company, I think you'd be pretty happy with the results here. They're fairly represented. But no, I don't think the devs are going to pick up another round, to be honest. Look, they're going towards B where they've had a little bit of success before. They've got smokes over. Lots of presence towards the site. Nades don't take a kill away immediately, but CDE on the spam through the smoke does. Now the aggression from Rez. He picks one. Knows there's another player up close right, but gets shot through the smoke as Lifer just emerged from it into a 3 versus 3. Still looking okay for the developer team as Baker picks up another frag. This could work out for the devs.
Yeah, definitely could. I mean, Lowy has a decent position here, though. He was almost given a bit of an opportunity there to catch the player rotating in. And again, actually able to put these shots in without them actually peeking together over on that allied side. There was plenty of opportunities for them to peek Lowy together. Eventually, Baker took it, but, I mean, it was a lot more awkward than it had to be. It's all on Looney now, though. 1 on 3. He's clearing that close corner. Does, I believe, spot, or at least did at one point spot the head. Now waiting to see if it's going to show itself once again. Of course, not going to be giving that one away. We see the devs just all pushing in together and playing that one really well. Didn't want to sit back and give them the opportunity to pick off one by one, instead just pushing in together. At the very least, at that point, they probably find a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, you know what? What I know is going to happen now. At this point, I'm going to get a message later on with a clip from just the start of that round from Howard of, I don't think the devs are going to get another round here. And then they get another round. I know it's going to happen. I have to accept it. I was wrong. But no, the faster B plays have worked out for them. Avenue were a little bit scattered when it came down to it. You can see that they're playing maybe a little bit overconfident. Oh, nice nade going through. That's going to deal a little bit of damage and certainly slows them down. Damage to the push, for sure. Lifer not able to get much done as he's smoked out. And again, the devs preferencing towards the B side, at least visually. That's what they want to sell to Avenue. It's the information, the fake data that they're throwing over. In fact, down towards middle. Oh, Lowy's played here before, but he gets 2 on the back of it. Picks up the Thompson, but can't get it out in time. Still, though, with Howard and Fantasy finding those frags, it's not looking amazing. It's a 3v1 as Howard falls and Fantasy getting the bomb planted in. Can he clutch it out? It'll certainly be a rough play to make happen. He's looking over towards the double doors and he spots ahead. He knows where one player is. Fades through the smoke. Moving towards the Axis spawn. There's a player up close, Adam Mello. Tucking around, starting to move down towards middle and in. Okay. Oh, this is huge. As he's moving in through the bunker, Fantasy's got the flank on him. He's going to come right up behind him, catch him by surprise, that's for sure, and maybe even follow him in and look for a little bit more. Nade's being thrown out. This is going to be huge. They have literally no idea that he can come from here right now. Player goes over towards the Axis spawn, but it's being diffused inside the smoke. And as he goes around to try and get the spam, it just can't happen. CDE catches him, watching it from the bottom of the stairs. Good discipline to be